In December of 1770, a boy was born in Bonn, Germany, to a caring mother and to a father who was incapable of being a positive influence. This young boy seemed to like music, and for most of the day would bang away on the family's piano, doing, quite frankly, whatever he wished. However, until the age of 12, despite his apparent love of music, his studies lacked any systematic organization. His father, on the other hand, thinks he has a new Mozart, and as a result, this boy's childhood is marked with his father's cruel attempts to transform him into a musical genius. In 1782, he finds his first real piano teacher. Now, this piano teacher creates rules for the young man. He must follow them. The piano teacher teaches him the rules of music and explains that he must follow these. No longer does this young man simply bang away at the piano, doing whatever it is he wants, but by following the rules as he is taught, he learns to play beautiful music of which he was previously incapable. What made the difference? The talent was there, the boy was there. The difference was following the rules that he was taught. Now, you may have heard of this young man. His name was Ludwig van Beethoven. Why have I told you this story? I've told it to you to illustrate a point. Freedom comes about by understanding and following the rules. Doing whatever we want results in chaos. After all, can you imagine the absolute havoc that would occur if there were no traffic rules? People would go where they want, when they want, whenever they felt like it. People would die. I don't think anyone could afford insurance. And why would we? We could just end up buying new cars every other week as someone crashed into us. God understands this. This is part of human nature. And as a result, He has created laws to help us, to show us what is good, to prevent us from harming ourselves. We call this divine law and natural law. And unlike the civil laws made by legislators or the opinions that we hold, the divine and natural law is not anything which we have invented. These laws cannot be violated, and these laws are what we must use to inform our conscience. We have always been told that we must follow our conscience, and this is true. But this statement presupposes that our conscience is well formed. The Church assists us and all people of goodwill in understanding the divine law and the natural law as it relates to specific issues. As Catholics, we have the obligation to be correctly informed and to be formed by the Church's teaching. Let me be clear, conscience is not the same as opinions or feelings. Conscience cannot be the same as feelings because conscience is the activity of the intellect. It judges the rightness and the wrongness of actions or omissions, whether those are past, here in the present, or in the future. Feelings, on the other hand, come from another part of the soul, and these should be governed by the intellect and the will. After all, it is said that love is not a feeling you have, but a decision you make. You don't think so? Ask anybody who's been married for, say, 5 or 8 years. They wake up in the morning and they consciously decide to continue loving the other. Conscience is not the same as opinions, because our intellect bases its judgment on the natural moral law which is inherent in human nature and is identical with the Ten Commandments. Why am I telling you this? Well, if you haven't figured it out already, it's because next week the counties in the state of Colorado will begin mailing your ballots, and you will need to vote and then return them. As a Catholic, you are responsible to be informed when you make your decisions. As a matter of natural law and as a matter of divine moral law, there are things we cannot support and must oppose. We must support the sanctity of human life in all its forms. This includes opposing abortion in all its forms, to include embryonic destruction, Plan B, or the morning after pill. But this also includes opposing euthanasia and assisted suicide. After the Holy Eucharist, the most precious gift God has given us is life. Other issues cannot be more important than this, either individually or combined together. A pro-abortion stance cannot simply be placed alongside candidates' other positions. Why? Because abortion is intrinsically evil and cannot be morally justified for any reason or for any set of circumstances. To vote for such a candidate with the knowledge that the candidate is pro-abortion is to become accomplice in the moral evil of abortion. If the voter knowingly votes for the candidates retaining this position, then the voter sins mortally. We must be equally opposed to candidates who place restrictions on legitimate religious freedom, and we must support the defense of marriage as a sacrament between a man and a woman. There is no choice in these matters. God has ordained these laws so that we may live together peacefully and in unity according to His law, and with each other, and join with each other in the beatific vision. As Christians, we are called to be ethical people. This means that we are guided by moral principles which govern our behavior, especially when that behavior occurs by ourselves, with no one else watching, so to speak. We must vote according to the moral and divine law, for this is the only way that we can be truly free. As you vote over the next week or so, please remember these last few points. 1, natural and divine moral law come from God. Therefore, they are truth, and there is no other option. 2, as Christians, we are called to follow Jesus Christ in all aspects of our lives. And 3, to take the words from Christ Himself in Matthew chapter 12, verse 30, Jesus tells us, "Whoever is not with me is against me, and whoever does not gather with me scatters." These are hard choices, but when the rubber hits the road, when it really counts, where will you stand?